Before you consume any data, whether to ingest in a data pipeline, to analyze for insights, or to build machine learning models, you need to understand that data. Understanding a dataset means knowing what fields are in the data, what do they mean, what are the data types, how complete are the fields, what is the distribution of the data, what is its quality. Now, for technically skilled engineers, analysts, and scientists, that would be spending time writing SQL statements or loading datasets into a data frame and writing shape and describe statements. But what about non-technical users? They cannot write SQL or write Python, and so they are not empowered to do self-service data analysis. DvSum's data catalog automatically extracts and enriches metadata from any dataset and makes it available so everyone in your organization can find, understand, and consume data easily. Let's see how. The way it works is you connect to your different sources. Once it connects, it extracts the metadata from the system, so the dictionaries, profiles, lineage, models, and reports. And then it does its enrichment, which is in the form of classification of data, matching it to glossary, applying DQ rules. And of course, all of that is then available as a connected knowledge graph. So you can search for information, and then we'll talk about the collaboration part of it. This is the detailed page or the catalog page of that asset or the object. So there are three tabs. On the overview tab, again, section, description information. So we have a default scoring method or a score which says, does it have a definition? Does it have ownership? Does it have the functional area defined? Does it have lineage available? And do we know how to get access to this information? Managed by, now this is where I mentioned that once you assign, automatically inherits the ownership information, like who's the owner. So we don't have to define it at an object by object level. This is the classification is essentially the attribution of data. So this is a data lake, so it knows its file format. If it's Parquet, it will say it's Parquet. If it is CSV, it says it's CSV. This functional area, as you keep curating the information and you scan new sources, it will automatically start saying, hey, this data looks similar to another data set, and assigns that. And there are other types. So one of the things that we provide is what type of data it is. Is it master data, transactional data, reference data? Because all the data sets can be classified into just those three things. Let's deep dive into it. So the next is, the columns. So one is the profile of the data. When was the data last scanned, last updated? This is by it knows or it understands the audit timestamp on the table. So it knows that when was the data last refreshed. Record count of the tables, right? How many columns or fields, if it's a data lake in this case, are there? The next thing is, so let's look at the columns. So these are all the columns. Basic metadata would be obviously column names and data type. But in addition to that, so that's that. Again, if your database has a comment field in the database or a description, then it will bring it in. Now, if you look at the profile of the information, of course, it says that, hey, what is the total count, how many blank values, how many unique values we state. So again, it categorizes data automatically as, hey, this looks like an attribute. This looks like the primary keys of the column of the table. This looks like measure fields. And if it is reference data, so then it says, okay, this is a reference data. So I will do a what you call as a distribution to show the contents of the data. If it is a numerical data, it will do a histogram by creating buckets. If it is non-categorical data, it creates a pattern. In technical metadata, profiling of the data, the next thing is entity matching. So this is what I meant by saying there are some out of the box, about 60 out of the box entities that we provide. It gives a score saying that this field is a US SSN, or in this case, this is a ISO country code 2. It gives a confidence score. System is giving you how it did its matching, and it's giving a score. The third thing is the quality information. If we click on the data quality tab, it looks at the profile of data, and based on, again, statistical anomalies of data, it has its own engine, and it applied 67 different rules. 4 different, the classical DQ rules, format rules, completeness rules, validity rules, data format rules. So it's saying that, these fields I want to apply a data type check. Completeness check, validity of data. When we talk about validity, let's say age bracket. So again, looking at, hey, this is a list of values, so I'm going to do a reference data check. If it is a numerical data, I'm doing a value range check. If it is a pattern like country, certain fields, really there's not category of data, then it'll do a pattern check. If you look at this, if you have a glossary where you have defined your business rules, obviously it is checking against that. In this case, uh, this is the rule that it has, that these are all my possible different list of values. So it's saying that, okay, everything is falling within the pattern. So obviously we don't want to look at all the rules. What we want to do is look at only the alerts. So the rule is that my only acceptable pattern is 5 digits. 79 records of my data are actually not complying to this rule. You can also say, hey, bring in the sample exceptions also, so that it can actually show you exactly which records are failing this criteria. And then the other thing, for every data set, it does a variance, kind of like a drift check of the volume of the data. So schema drift, which means every time I run a scan and it finds that I have new columns added or I've changed the columns, then it is going to alert on that. To recap, DvSum's data catalog automatically extracts and enriches metadata from any dataset and makes it available so everyone in your organization can find, understand, and consume data easily.